Solo travel is becoming increasingly popular with more people opting for solo adventures over traditional group tours. And many people are intimidated by the idea of traveling alone, but solo traveling can be a liberating and empowering experience. Federica Brassen, our repeat guest on the platform, has extensive experience with solo travel and has spent several years backpacking and exploring new destinations on her own. And she's from Italy, and earlier we have featured her as part of TGV Global Speaker Festival series and episode number 420, hash TGV 420. And that is one of the most viewed and most listened episodes so far. And I think it is a must tune in case if you haven't tuned in already. And she has a unique perspective on the benefits and challenges of solo travel. And she's excited to share her insights and tips with our TGV community in today's episode. So we'll explore the benefits of solo travel while debunking common myths and also discuss how to make the most of your solo travel experiences. And before we delve into our conversation on solo travel, here is an exciting twist as always. Let us dekill our guest brain. So Federica, you're already aware of the process. So get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few. And I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's dive right in. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Great. Alright, here comes the first word. Adventure.
Jungle.
Freedom.
360 degrees.
Backpacking.
Heavy.
Travel.
Travel. Just travel. Travel. Life. Life.
Okay. Exploration.
Interesting enough. Jungle again.
Culture.
A Greek statue.
Photography.
Photoshop.
Mountain.
Cool. Fresh temperatures.
Road trip.
Car.
Flexibility.
Sleeping bag.
Resilience.
Green.
Reflection.
Light blue.
Community.
People.
Inspiration.
God.
Okay. And here comes the last one. Empowerment.
I'll pass.
No worries. And thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round and really spot on with your responses. And I really appreciate it. And before I formally welcome you to the show, once again, let me welcome the audience. So folks, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. And Federica, welcome back to TGV. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for having me again. I'm so happy to be there.
Yeah, pleasure is mine. And I would love to do many more episodes as mentioned in the last episode. And this time, especially, I love the topic because I've never been on a solo travel myself. And I would love to embark on it very shortly. And let's get the ball rolling. So share your thoughts on how traveling alone reflects how one approaches life.
Well, how much time do you have? Big question. I could seriously talk for days about this because there's so much to say about travel. And then also the problem is that there are a few things that can be just generalized like that. It depends who you are, where do you travel, and when. I'm passionate about reading books of people who traveled solo in the 1900s, for example, the 1800s. So it's very different. In general, just like that, how travel reflects going through life, the approach to life. It's very banal, but I can say, life is a journey. And just like for the trip, the journey is more important than the destination.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I didn't come up with this. So I guess, I don't know, you have to be more specific.
No, I got it. One thing which is very important is journey is important than destination. I think you summed it up very well. And Federica, talk to us your experiences with both solo and shared travel and the benefits of each.
Well, I don't have much experience with group travel, but some. So I can compare. It's just, I would say, 9-1. Solo travel, 90%. and a little bit of group travel or traveling with someone else, which again, it's different. If you travel with someone, you can still adjust the schedule, change the itinerary if you want. When you're with a group, normally everything is pre-planned and organized. So you know where you're going, when you're going. There's less freedom. And I cannot really tell you the benefits of that. I mean, the benefit could be if you're someone who doesn't want to think about things, what time is the train? How do I get to the airport? Then moving with a group will just take all of that off your mind because everything is organized and there is a tour guide or something. On the opposite side, completely on the opposite side, it's more of my style of solo travel, which is like, where am I today? And, of course, now I've had destinations. So you kind of have a direction. You move somewhere. And the one factor that I just have to mention that makes a huge difference, solo or group, is when we're talking about. I did most of my traveling before the internet. So this is the experience I relate to. So that kind of solitude you don't have nowadays, even when you travel solo, right? So everything has changed. And the type of adventure, the types of problems you may encounter when you travel solo, well, these were different back then because literally to find accommodation in the next city or town, you had to find the number of the hostels there, for example, and make a phone call and ask if they had availabilities. This is how I did it every time. And I know because I journaled, so I went back and read. Just to close your question, this one on solo and group, I guess that when you travel with a group, it's very much close to the definition of tourism. It can be nice. But I don't like it much because I just like to go and explore. Right. I think that if you travel with a group, you don't have many chances to go and explore. There's something that I really get a kick out of, that adrenaline that makes me feel alive, that is to walk in a town that I don't know. And I see, a street over there and I see, oh, who knows what's down there? And I just make a detour and go there. That's the beauty of it. So, of course, it was implicit in your question, and I like that it's not that one is better than the other. Right. Both have benefits. And your traveling style should reflect who you are and your style of living, I guess.
I see that you have a lot of positive perspective on solo travel, right? So tell me about how it has shaped you.
Well, and just like for many other things in life, it's always hard to give an easy answer, because I believe that also for this thing that you asked and for many other things, oh God, I'm making this so complicated. I mean that I had it in me to do everything I have done before I did it. And then I went out and did it. And now people ask me how what I have done shaped me. Right. And I say, no, that was the only way in which I could do it. So it hasn't shaped me. I was shaped before I did it. I know it doesn't make easy sense, but it's like that.
Can you discuss this saying, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together? So does it really contradict solo travel concept? Do you agree or disagree with this notion?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's one of the many quotes you find on social media, and many of them are really good. Many of them are really good, but some of them, they sound good, but then you think about them and you're like, there's something that doesn't add up. Why there is this choice? If you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. See, I even have to think about it because it doesn't make sense to me, because says who that, I don't, I guess that it's true in a subset of circumstances, that sentence over there. But this is not really the choice. And what I came to realize a couple of months ago, because I kept hearing this quote and I liked it, but there was something that didn't add up. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what? When you go alone, you may get farther or go faster. You basically just do what the hell you want. You go at the pace that you want. Slow, fast. It's up to you. Yeah. But when you go together because being together has value in itself. So it doesn't matter if you go fast, if you go far, if you go left, if you go right. There's value in being together. So that's why I rephrased it. If you want to go, let's say, fast or far, go alone. If you want to go together, go together.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Does this make sense? It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I got it, and I love that rephrased version. Like, if you want to go fast or whatever, go alone. But if you want to go together, go together. Simply superb. So, yeah. Federica, can you also share some of your most memorable solo travel experiences?
Yeah, of course. People don't know where I've been, how long I've been there, when I've been there. I'll just mention, for example, the Great Lakes region in Canada. I traveled there by train, going from Toronto to Vancouver, but the train was going very slow. So I remember really seeing a lot of that. And then Norway, the fjords in Norway. I was there in August a couple of years ago, so there was light almost all night.
Right.
And I did not book a hotel. I just stayed in the car and I drove around all night, basically, except 2 hours. I tried to sleep. And that's something I'll never forget, breathtaking. In terms of scenarios, I've seen the Grand Canyon, and I've seen the Grand Canyon because I happened to be in the States just on 9/11 and the following weeks. So nobody could fly. And therefore, this very, normally you have to book the mule trip in the Grand Canyon a year in advance. So they told me. Suddenly, they had lots of vacancies because people could just not travel there. And so I did the mule trip in the Grand Canyon then in 2001. And yeah, these are some of the Saint Laurent, the river in Montreal, and the Liffey, the river in Dublin. Yeah, I have lots of places, the places of my heart. Lisbon. I'm crazy about Lisbon.
And can you also discuss any backpacking adventures and budget travel tips? Because especially if somebody is visiting a foreign land where the currency is on the higher side, it will be a problem for them, right?
I'm the queen of budget traveling.
Wonderful.
And then again, I did most of that 20 years ago. And the world is just a different place. For now, Airbnb is more popular than the couch surfing, but you still have Facebook groups for hosting people for free. Like, you have more options to connect with people nowadays. There are groups. There's much more. Back then, couch surfing wasn't even a thing. Just youth hostels were a thing, or just like I did more than once, not often as a habit, but I have just slept in the street. Voila! A couple of times, it's weird to say. It's not something you should be proud of, maybe, but I just have. I mean, I remember the first time I did it, I'm thinking because it's not something you just decide you do. We say, I just having the choice of sleeping in a bed or not, I choose not to. The first time that I slept not in a hotel was because I was very short on money. And the hotel I thought was very expensive. And also, I was getting to that city around 2 a.m. and I was leaving in the morning again. So I'm not going to pay that price for a couple of hours. And so I was walking in the streets of San Francisco and trying to find a place to spend the night. And it's interesting how everything around you changes when you change that perspective and you look for different things. You look for a safe place to sleep in the street. Like, what is that even? Right. And you realize that it's probably a good idea to be close to shops that are open 24 hours when there's people all the time coming and going. And indeed, I ended up sleeping in a stranger's car. Don't ask me because it sounds crazy. But he was a very nice person and he was working the night shift. And so he said, I'm just going to park my car at my workplace and go and work in the office. So if you want to stay in the car. And I said, yes. I was 20 years old and definitely backpacking, a huge backpack. And I did that. And these are exceptional things you don't normally do, right? But I cannot say I'm proud I did those. But looking back, I just say, well, hell, I've done something. So I have a story to tell. And this is just one out of a million.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense, actually. It has etched in the form of a memory, right? And you can cherish those kind of moments, and they may not get repeated in our life as well, right?
And I tell you what, people nowadays is always, that's dangerous. Oh, it's dangerous. But you know what? There's plenty of good people out there.
Right.
So don't lose the ability, the skill almost, to do your own assessment of who's in front of you. Don't just think everybody's there to murder you. You know, when you travel, because when you're at home, you have the circle of your friends, there's people you know. But when you're traveling solo, you don't know anyone. And I'm telling you, this was before the internet. So I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't in touch. I was just there. And in this case, I was on the West Coast in the United States, backpacking. So not even independent, driving a car. I was there. And you have to interact, rely on the people just around you. So it's very important to be very quick and see, this is good, this is dangerous. And dangerous as it sounds, I believe that it's not that I almost risked to be raped and murdered. I think that the gentleman was just a very nice person. Yeah.
Got it. And also, Federica, like, how and when did you realize your travel experiences had this value and skill?
Very recently, to be honest. And very recently, because I realized, you know, the practical part, the logistics, I realized, well, man, I can get by in every situation. I can help myself. I'm not helpless, and I'm very practical, and I'm punctual, and you know, just the logistics, the practical part of it, I'm very good, and I'm still good in communication, just getting things organized. And this being by yourself is probably something that you either have or you don't, but you certainly can cultivate. And this experience of just, which I always took it for granted, and I just recently realized that it's not so. And so I realized that the very fact that I traveled like that I extracted myself from my environment at home and was alone in the world, far away, very young, without money, and with a big backpack, that it had to go to my credit.
Right.
I can put it the other way. I had no idea how many people that have not traveled much, how much they rely on the people they know and their family, meaning that they would be lost if they were someplace else. And I thought, well, I must be pretty cool, you know, strong and independent if I can take care of myself on the other side of the world.
Got it. Awesome. And thank you so much for sharing all those adventures. And I really got inspired. And in fact, I'm going to backpack very soon and get on to my solo expedition shortly. And after such an incredible conversation, it's time for us to add some more excitement and some more fun. If you're ready, let me kick off the second rapid fire round.
Sure, shoot.
Okay. Here comes the first bullet. I'll put it this way. What is the most spontaneous thing that you have done while traveling?
I guess that it was when I was traveling. At some point, I was in Canada, but I was supposed to stay local because it was a student work abroad project. I saw that they were selling this railway pass to travel through Canada and the United States for a month, sort of an interrail as we have it in Europe. And I didn't think for a second. I was watching at the advertisement and I thought, I'm going to do it. So I was in Canada. And on top of that, I spent the month of September in 2001 traveling through Canada and the United States.
Yeah, got it.
So buying the ticket was very spontaneous.
Okay, and here comes the next one. What is the biggest budgeting mistake and the lesson that you have learned out of it?
Yeah, got it. I have one big oops in my budgeting history, traveling. And it was, again, during that trip through the States in 2001. I was checking my bank account daily to see how much money I had, but I did not think And that was the big mistake, that the credit card, money would come once a month altogether.
Right, got it.
So by the time I reached New York, I checked my bank account and it went from above zero to significantly below zero in a day, right? And I was screwed and I panicked for a second, and that was a huge mistake.
And Federica, what is a favorite way to connect with locals?
Ask for directions.
And what is the craziest food adventure?
Food. I'm not big on food, but there's one thing that I discovered when I was abroad, and I discovered it in Dublin, Ireland, although it's an Australian thing that shocks me to this day, although I found out about it more than 20 years ago, and that is, wait for it, Marmite. Do you know what that is? You should know. Do you know?
Yeah, I know that.
I haven't recovered yet. Like, we don't have it in Italy. I don't know if someone has it in some super specialized shop for Australians expats, but I've never seen it again. And to this day, it looks to me like this old car oil and the smell. So, Marmite is the most shocking food I've ever seen traveling.
Yeah, got it. And how do you stay safe while traveling alone? Do you carry a pepper spray or what?
Oh, actually, no, I don't. Sometimes, in the worst times, I had a pocket knife ready, behind my sleeve. Never had to use it. Made me feel just a bit safer. But you know what it is? You're a young girl. Back then, again, I was 20-something. And if a man attacks you, you don't stand many chances. So it's a big chapter, safety on the road. But I have to say, common sense is first. Yeah. Common sense. Don't put yourself in the situation.
Right, got it. And what is the most epic road trip story?
Well, when in recent years I started traveling by car sometimes, I did the same. To save money, I slept in the car. Only I did that. It's very comfortable. Currently, I'm equipping my car to car camp. Yesterday, I finished sewing some cushions. So I'm done. I already went once. Like, I cannot wait to start traveling this way, new style. But I've always been comfortable sleeping in cars, even in the back seat, no problem. But the problem was that once it was in Switzerland on December the 28th. And, it's not that I had to spend the night. I just had to rest because I was traveling a long distance from Belgium to Italy. And I wanted to sleep, and I laid down and I did everything. And I promise you that I woke up because something in me, maybe my guardian angel, just woke me up before I would freeze to death. I would hibernate. So I woke up and I said, okay, note to self, don't sleep in your car in Switzerland in wintertime. You're going to freeze to death. And the other time that the same thing happened, and I kind of looked at God and I said, where can I sleep in my car? It was in Norway in August. And I thought, come on, August, it's summertime. But no, where I was in Norway during the night, the wee hours of the night, it's still too cold to sleep in your car.
Can you imagine?
So
good. And how do you balance spontaneity versus planning during your solo travels?
I don't. I don't know. I'll tell you, the smart answer is I'm equipped for anything that may come up or that I may want to put myself into. Yeah. So I don't plan much. I have to be honest. The basics. If I have a flight, I know where I will land. If I were the pilot, you wouldn't know where I land. Yeah. But other than that, everything is spontaneous because I think otherwise, what's the point?
No, fair enough. And what is the biggest misconception about solo travel?
That they always ask you what's wrong with you if you do it.
Okay. And most inspiring person you have ever met on the road?
In recent years, this is someone I stayed in touch because now with social media and your phone, it's so easy to stay in touch.
Right.
I know I'm being heavy. I sound like I'm ancient. I'm 43. I'm not sure exactly how old you are, but you're how
41.
Younger you are.
41.
40 or 30?
41 I said.
41. Oh, look at you. So we're very close. I thought you were 10 years younger. Good for you. Good for you. But back in the day, with all the people I met, we didn't stay in touch.
Oh.
In my journals, I still see some address, home address. But what do you do? So this is someone I'm still in touch with. But even if we had not stayed in touch, yes, meeting him when I was in Hollywood would have been a highlight. And that is Peter Dell, my good friend, Peter Dell, but in another weird way. And if I have to go back many years in time, the weirdest encounter, because this is a beautiful person and very inspiring, but a weirdest encounter that you have plenty, but there's one that always stayed with me very, very much. And that is the true weirdo that you meet on the road. You know how sometimes, maybe you don't if you have never traveled by yourself, how you will have very deep conversations with someone on the train precisely because you'll never meet them again. And I met this older man, or he looked very old to me, but I was 16 then again. Don't ask me why, but I was traveling long distance, let's say by train once a week. And this guy kept looking at me and, you're comfortable. And then they just speak to you. And he said, you will be lucky that you're going to be lucky. When you decide you're going to be lucky, you will be lucky. Just like that, like a prophecy. Like a prophecy. You're like, you're weird. But I got off the train and I cannot help it. That stayed with me. I'm still wondering if I have decided that yet or not in my life, that I want to be happy, but it stayed with me since. And this is just some weirdo I met on a train once when I was 16.
Yeah. Love it. What he said. I think if you want to be lucky and if you think to be lucky, right, you will be lucky. Amazing.
Yeah.
And how do you handle language barriers during these trips?
First of all, with English, you get by in most places. So I learned the language. But I also speak other languages. I just learned them because I love languages. I guess it goes very well together with traveling.
Amazing.
So I speak French, Dutch, Spanish. Wow. I get by, when you ask me how many languages you speak, that's weird because they're precisely traveling. There will be many languages that I can get by when I'm there on the road, but I cannot say that I speak them. To say that I speak Portuguese would definitely not be correct. But when I'm there, I understand a lot and I can ask questions. So, yeah.
All right, here comes the last one for the second rapid fire round. What is one thing that you can't travel without?
Earplugs. No question about it. No question about it.
Got it. And that's such an amazing rapid fire. And let's flip back to the mainstream. So what are your tips for those planning to explore solo trips? Any one or two quick tips?
Go and do it. I mean, keep your head screwed on your shoulders. Speaking of safety and common sense. But very much just go and do it. Again, because there's no amount of preparation you can do for such thing, that when it's time to leave, then you say, haha, now I know everything. No, of course you will learn on the road. So you have to go and do it.
Amazing, Federica. I love the conversation and thank you so much for joining me again on this show. And especially I love the topic and you have lots of wisdom to offer. And Federica, you are one of our repeat guests on the platform. I would love to hear from you in terms of how is your experience being hosted on TGV for the second time? Did you notice any positive changes or any negative changes? What is different? And how do you feel?
It's not different, but that's the good thing. Because I saw how much you prepare, how professional you are. You do your homework, you're reliable, you show up on time, and you ask very interesting questions. So I'm a returning customer because of that. I loved it so much the first time that I'm so happy to be here the second time.
Wow. Thank you so much. And that means a lot. And I look forward to hosting you again in future with some interesting topic. And keep traveling and keep sharing your journey with us. And I would love to hear from you again.
Oh, absolutely. Please.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So friends, that was our episode with Federica Brassen. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you haven't already subscribed to TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast, please subscribe to us from wherever you have tuned in because subscribing keeps you updated on new episodes. Also, if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the guiding voice, to spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now let's hop into the trivia segment of today's episode. And today's trivia is about lesser known facts about solo travel. And we have had amazing conversation with Federica Brassen, where she has shared her own solo travel experiences and the kind of adventures that she has taken and so on. I thought I would present you a few lesser known and interesting facts about solo travel. And here comes the first one. It is about the solo travel market is projected to grow to 1.4 trillion USD by 2028. And the concept of solo travel dates back to ancient times, with philosophers like Aristotle and Plato embarking on solo journeys. And when it comes to the most popular destinations for solo travelers, they are like Thailand, New Zealand, and also Iceland. And solo travelers are more likely to take risks and step out of their comfort zone. And solo travel community is growing, with many online forums and social media groups dedicated to solo travelers. Right? So likewise, if you have already had experience with solo traveling, I would love to hear your experiences and the kind of adventures that you have gone through. And that's it from my side. It's your turn to share your solo travel experiences and tips, and we would love to hear from you. Do not hesitate to share your ideas, feedback, either through our social media, or you can also email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. And folks, let's create content that resonates with you. And thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. I'm your host Naveen Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that simplify and amplify your life's success. And until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the future holds great things because the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care.